So our next program will be from Raja Mukherjea. I welcome Raja Mukherjea.
Hi, Sheikh
Welcome,
Abdul.
Rajaji.
Very
Yeah,
good
nice
afternoon.
to see you again. Yeah, good
Likewise.
afternoon. Yeah. So welcome, Raja Mukherjea. So Raja is talking on protecting plant margins against tariffs, raw material spikes, and freight volatility. Okay. So it's very important. So you will hear profitability things from Raja. So Raja Mukherjea is a renowned C-suite advisor, a business strategist, and CEO of Profitability Engine, helping organizations transform strategy into measurable business results. With a deep expertise in EBITDA improvement, business transformation, cash flow optimization, and operating model design, he partners with CEOs and business leaders to drive sustainable growth. So, Rajaji, I would like to hear from you your insights. A very interesting topic, time and again. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Sheikh Abdul. And before I bring up the slides, I just wanted to thank you for the effort and the time and the pragmatic approach that you take for organizing these sessions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
See
Thank
my
you very
screen,
much.
Sheikh Abdul?
Yeah, it is coming up. I did not see it. Yeah, you try to share it. it.
Yeah, I've
Can you
shared
share
it.
again? Yeah. Yes, yes, I can see that.
You can see the
It is
screen.
in the normal mode, not in the presentation mode.
No,
Mhm.
I've shared it in the presentation mode.
No, no, no. It is in the normal mode. Maybe the window what you have shared is not the right one. Can you reshare it?
Just one second.
uh, Put it in the presentation and then share it like alt tab. That is the easiest because slideshow is one window and normal is one window, so it has a difficulty in registering. Maybe or you share the full window and then put it
Can you
in the.
see now? Can you see now?
I can see the same normal people. Yeah, yes, perfect. Go ahead.
Oh, oh, very nice. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you once again, Sheikh Abdul, for this wonderful opportunity to be with you and the team. Today's topic is something that I've been toying for some time now, especially because there is so much talk around how do we improve the margins, especially in today's volatile world. Let me start with a question. When was the last time your plant has a completely uneventful quarter? No surprise hikes, tariff or no tariff, no sudden fuel spikes, no raw material pinches, no last minute order changes. I would suspect most of us can't remember one. Why is that? Because uncertainty is now permanent. Geopolitical tensions, trade shocks, energy prices, they keep coming. For decades, we have pursued operational excellence, lean Six Sigma, tight budgets. They definitely created a lot of value. But for a more predictable world, as IBM recently pointed out, those static 5 year plans and quarterly forecasts are no longer getting the job done. In other words, volatility has become our new operating model, and it exposes how our organizations work or don't work under pressure. So, protecting margin is no longer about reducing costs in a spreadsheet. It's about how to respond when conditions change. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our topic for today. Imagine this scenario. It's 8:30 on a Monday morning and your head of procurement knocks on your office door, looking grim. Overnight, a new tariff is announced, commodity prices have jumped, freight prices are ticking up again. Suppliers are warning of long lead time. Now your team goes on overdrive. The commercial folks ask, do we raise customer prices? Operations wants extra inventory. Finance is asking how to protect cash. Reports are getting pulled. Everybody is working hard to respond, just as you would expect. Now, fast forward 3 months, the quarter's closed, and the EBITDA is down $2 million. What happened? In fact, everybody did everything they could. The managers had the emails, the chats, the calls. Our organization is full of smart people making sensible decisions. And I always believe people is not the root cause of the issue that we have. Yet something slipped. That's our mystery. And I've seen this many times in every industry, whether there's a shock, whatever type of shock it is, there is a there is a string of events which only goes bigger and bigger, and there is a tsunami effect after that. This question has fascinated me and my team for long, and it led me to dig deeper. And the more I looked, the clearer the answer became. The first thing I noticed, these external shocks, tariffs, freight cost, commodity swings, whatever have you, don't themselves decide how fast we act. They merely expose the strengths and weaknesses that already exist in our organization. Volatility is like a X-ray, somebody told me. It reveals the fracture beneath the surface. In a stable environment, small flaws hide. But as soon as conditions change, those flaws become painfully obvious. So tariff announcements or otherwise didn't cause our margin leak. They shine the spotlight on our internal gaps. Those gaps already determine whether we maintain margin or lose it. This made our team at Rodemi rethink our traditional question. For decades, we asked, how do we reduce costs? There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that question. And most companies are excellent at that. But reducing cost assumes you have the time to analyze, debate, plan, and implement. In today's market, that luxury often doesn't exist. By the time we have done our analysis, the market has moved again, customer demand has changed, raw material prices have changed, competitors have changed. We have lost our window of opportunity. That's why I propose a very different question. How quickly can we protect margin when the world changes? Notice the subtle difference. The old question is about efficiency, the new question is about responsiveness. The responsiveness, the speed to see, decide, and act. And once I started thinking in terms of speed, a pattern jumped out from all the conversations that me and my team keep having with the CEOs and the CPOs. I saw the same three problems over and over again. Different factories, different countries, different teams. Yet the margin always leaked in almost the same sequence. First, the organization simply didn't see the impact quickly enough. By the time the leadership understood the hit, weeks had passed with no corrective action. Second, even after the problem was obvious, getting everyone to agree tweaks week more. Each function, procurement, finance, ops, sales, were optimizing its own part of the business. Nobody was organizing the margin together into one single cohesive picture. Finally, once a plan was engaged, execution crawled, meetings started, approval circulated, paperwork mounted, and all the while, market kept moving. By the time the action happened, the cost has already risen and the customers have moved on. There's nothing much you can do. In other words, delay killed the value. Over and over, boards would get a surprise call, our materials just spiked, we should hedge, or our forecast just collapsed, we must cut down production. And every time, margin had quietly eroded. That's when it clicked. The villain was never the tariff or the freight cost or whatever spiked. Those were just the sparks. The real enemy was the delay inside the organization. Tariffs don't destroy EBITDA, but these three delays do. So we arrived at the 21st century question: how fast can we respond? And let's unpack all these three gaps next. And for the interest of everybody, let me formally label them. Gap number one, the visibility gap. We don't see trouble until it's at the door. Gap number two, decision gap. We debate and disagree while the clock ticks. Gap number three, execution gap. And I sometimes call this the mother of all the gaps. We move slower than the market. Each gap on its own costs you time and millions of dollars. Forrester recently did the study and they came up with this very frightening looking number of saying trillions in supply chain value is getting lost because we are not just moving fast enough. They are saying organizations are data rich but insight poor. While timely visibility and decision speed, those external disruptions look like easy excuses instead of warning. But here's the good news: these gaps can be fixed. Once we recognize them, we can build new capabilities. And that is exactly what we will discover next. Let's dive into gap number one: visibility. This is the classic problem of delayed awareness. It's just like driving a car by looking into the rear view mirror. You might reach your destination eventually, I don't know in what shape or form, but only after you have hit several obstacles. Most companies only see the financial impact long after the storm has hit. In recent IBM study, they said organizations have been asked to manage real-time businesses using batch processes. IBM being IBM, they use the word batch processing. But essentially the message is in we rely on monthly reports and past forecasts. So you only learn of the problem well after it started. It's all after the fact. The damage is already done when the data arrives. Imagine your plant's performance dashboard. If it's only updated weekly or monthly, or even if you get it earlier and nobody's looking at it, it's essentially telling you we were bleeding long after you started bleeding. That's not visibility, it's hindsight. A striking industry stat, again by a McKinsey study, during the pandemic's peak, breakdowns caused by this blind spot led to trillions of dollars in losses. It means big chunks of margin just slipping out of there. So, how do you fix this visibility gap? We start by closing the loop on information. My previous panel partners have talked about IoT. I've talked about Grow and other Lean Six Sigma. Companies now invest in IoT sensors, real-time alerts, and analytics. In fact, 85% of the supply chain experts saying real-time visibility is a must-have. So good things happening at least on this front. That should make us happy. But what I'm going to tell you now may not make all of us happy. And I'm going to talk about the decision gap. Data has finally reached you and the decision maker. Great. At least you know there's a problem. But at this point, every function brings its own playbook to the table. Procurement says lock in suppliers before price rises. Sales could say protect customers, don't upset them. Finance says save cash, hedge our bets. Operations jumps in, keep machines running, don't starve production. All are valid goals, but by optimizing in silos, they conflict, and aligning them takes time and lot of effort. Forrester mentions in a recent study poor cross functional alignment shows up as delayed decisions, duplicated efforts, and stalled initiatives. What good is an idea if it dies in a committee meeting? By the time the head of sales, the head of procurement, CFO, and the plant manager all agree on a path, the window to act may have passed. That's the whole tragedy of this decision gap. To close this gap, what we suggest to organization is to maintain a single playbook. One key action is assigning clear margin responsibility to everybody speaks the same language. For example, set a shared KPI like margin at risk. We also found that firms that empower a cross-functional response team with the authority to decide on the spot move dramatically faster. McKinsey's own survey of CFOs in 2024 confirmed that we see over 75% of finance leaders are now increasingly involved in business decision making. So, in a nutshell, if you ask me, what's the cure for this decision gap? The cure is alignment. Break silos, create one meeting of mind, and push decisions down or out so that happen in hours, not weeks. Remember, I'm not saying push decisions up, I'm saying push decisions down. Now for the mother of all gaps, the execution gap. Gap number three. You might think the hard part is over once everybody agrees, but often it gets harder. Imagine the plan, buy that additional inventory, approve the new supplier, adjust the production schedule. All that sits in someone's inbox. By the time these actions come through, guess what? The market has moved again. A new raw material spike, another customer reschedule. We are playing catch up the whole time. That's a big business strategy. This is what I mean by markets move at the speed of events, organizations move at the speed of meetings. The cure? Very lean execution. Top performing firms that we work with, I have seen they have a pre approved emergency fund. They run war game rehearsals so plans can be enacted immediately. Because at the end of the day, even a brilliant plan is worthless if it arrives too less. So by now, I have talked about the three gaps. So essentially, we have also uncovered the villain of the entire piece, the organizational delay in all these three acts. So you could ask me, understood, so now what? Recognizing these gaps is half the battle. The good news is they point the way to a solution. Over years of working with factories and organizations, me and my team have noticed some companies protect margins better than the others. When we drill deep and try to find out why and how, they always said that we see problems early, we decide quickly together, and we move instantly. They have built this as a capability, not as a one off project. That capability is what we call the margin response capability. Is the ability to see, decide, and execute rapidly. It blends real-time visibility with cross-functional leverage. Think of this as a infection. It spots the infection, sends the immune system, and the heals the tissue. Importantly, this isn't an accidental trait. We found it can be systematically developed. So, for example, for your visibility gap, sensors, data feed early. Bridging the decision gap could be you enhance your governance system and the RACI. Solving the execution gap, have one single playbook and pre-approval matrix in place. This transforms margin protection into a repeatable process. And once you have MRC in place, you get a multiplier effect. Every single volatility event you face, you will start losing lesser and lesser and recover faster. So that's the multiplier effect. This brings me to a question that often people ask me. Can we turn MRC into an actual implementable system? And that's what we have done at Trudemy. The answer is a yes. And what I call the profitability engine. This isn't a software product per se, it's an operating model. Imagine an engine whose fuel is data and whose pistons are cross functional teams. When a threat ignites, the engine kicks in to protect margin. For example, we built a margin cockpit for a client. a dashboard with daily indicators, visibility, empowering a supply chain war room with authority, which sets up automatic PO triggers for raw materials when certain thresholds are hit. That's profitability engine in action. Of course, you could ask, isn't it just a buzzword or a system? But successful pilot implementation prove otherwise. This engine aligns systems and people around speed is the key to turning our three reactive gaps into proactive strengths. At this point, you might be thinking, understood the gaps, understood MRC. Show me how. How do you actually build this margin response capability? The prior slides that I shared orients us towards implementation. In practice, it means running drills for each type of shock that you encounter. Outline the first moves you will make. Set up a small empowered crisis team that meets weekly just to review risk triggers and responses. Use simulations. What if freight spike next week? Run the numbers and practice the decisions. So it also means the rethinking roles. For example, give one executive the accountability for visibility, someone who literally watches the monitors then alerts the team. Give another the authority to execute within limits, something like you can spend up to X immediately if needed. Sense, diagnose, decide, execute, and learn is just like configuring a car for a race. You install sensors on the dashboard, train the pit crew to leap into action on a signal, and streamline refueling so there's no downtime. So let's return to where we started, the Monday morning example. The tariffs will come, the commodity swings will come, the next global shock will come. It can happen tomorrow, no questions. The only thing we control is how we respond. So I leave you with one thought. In the past, companies that won were often the ones that best products or the lowest cost. Today, in the age of permanent volatility, the companies that win will be the ones that can respond before everybody else does. Remember, tariffs don't destroy EBITDA, delay does. If you remember nothing else, remember that. Protect your margins not by blaming the weather, but by sharpening your reflexes. Thank you so much for having me here. This is the end of my presentation. I'll stop sharing and open for
Yeah.
questions.
So it's very important and the wonderful concept, um, margin response capability. Is it like a standard financial term, or you
This is
defined it
this is the
and
this
put a
is the
trademark?
trademark. This is the trademark for
Mhm,
my profitability engine solution, which
mhm,
actually encapsulates the core concepts of whatever I just talked about.
mhm,
Essentially, preventing the margin leakages from happening, giving
mhm,
everybody the power to understand what could go wrong and then act before it's too late. Sheikh Abdul.
mhm, mhm. So, any particular, like, what kind of industry you look for? I know this profitability is important for everybody. Okay, so do you have any where this model can get major benefit, especially considering in India and growing countries? So, what do you think? So, what kind
Manufacturing.
of industries? Hmm.
Yeah. Manufacturing is very close to me because I started my journey in a manufacturing setup. And you are absolutely correct. This profitability engine can get fitted into any system, any organization, any sector. But keeping in mind, as somebody was talking, I think it was Professor Faisal who said 17% of the GDP is coming from the manufacturing industry. So that's a pretty nice number to look at. And with all the focus in manufacturing that the government has today, uh, I keep speaking to a lot of manufacturing CFOs and CTOs and CEOs to see how we can help each other.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I think in manufacturing sector, especially in India, there is a lot of indirect costs and then overheads. So it's always very important and also there is a lot of juice where organization get benefit about the profitability model. So that's
Absolutely.
very interesting. Yeah, we would like to hear any use cases as we go on, since you introduced it. Okay,
Sure.
so we would like to hear maybe in the subsequent sessions any use cases, how you deployed it, okay, and how to take it forward, and then
Absolutely.
maybe this could be a breakthrough in the profitability sector. Okay,
Absolutely.
yes,
Absolutely, Sheikh Abdul. Thank you.
great, great. Thank you, sir. Any final comment or any final key takeaways from your side to the audience? Mhm.
I think I have been hearing my previous speakers, and there is a very common theme on what Professor Faisal and what Sachin also talked about. One, we have data, but the visibility at the right moment is not there. It could be either the systems are not there, or
Mhm.
we really don't know how to interpret that. That's one key takeaway, and that's coming across all the three
Mhm.
sessions. Second one, as Professor Faisal was pointing out, lean by itself will not help if you don't have the processes right. So don't keep on adding just because a consultant comes to you and says, let's do a lean project or a Six Sigma. I personally believe a lot of things will go off if we have the basics correct. Let's get the basics correct. Let's have the bare essential data ingestion in place to give you the right insights of what could go wrong. And that should make all the C-suite, the CFOs, the CTOs, CPOs, the factory leaders all happy at the end of the day. That would be my two
Excellent.
cents, Sheikh Abdul.
So thank you very much for sharing very nice insights. I really enjoyed listening about profitability. Everybody talk about revenue, nobody talks about profitability. Very few companies mastered their profitability part of it. Okay, so many companies, there is a big chance for any organizations to improve profitability, and we would like to hear in the next, maybe in the coming sessions or coming events, you talk about some use cases and in the industry use cases. So thank you, Rajaji. Thank you very much for
Thank
a
you, Sheikh
wonderful
Abdul.
session.
Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Mhm. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we just finished three sessions, very crisp, to the point, and very interesting insights. Okay, so I take this as an opportunity to thank Mr. Raja, a very seasoned CFO and finance expert who has introduced margin response capability, and look forward to hear his good things from him as we go on.